Hello, everyone. This is Linda Binns, and I'm continuing my conversations with inspiring people, and I'm learning some great things as I do these conversations. So I'm excited today to welcome Gary Howarth, the founder of Connect My Voice, or Connect by Voice, or Connect My Voice, Gary? By Voice. Yeah. Okay. And Gary helps business professionals communicate more effectively, which I think is something we all need to learn to do. So I'm excited to learn more. So Gary, please share with us a little bit more about what you do and how you do it.
Connect by Voice is an app that allows you to respond and to send messages and emails to better connect with clients and prospects. One of the things that's really missing with regular emails is oftentimes they're misunderstood because they don't always have all the context that is needed for proper communications. For example, in text, how many times have you received a text where you thought the sender meant one thing and they really meant something totally different? And on the other hand, how many times have you sent a message that somebody misinterpreted because they thought you meant something that you really never meant to convey? Yet
it's true. That's very true. Yeah.
So the voice is really important. It really helps us to add context to our messages, but it also gives the inflection, the tone, the pitch. You get the emotion that comes with communication as opposed to just the written word.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about the written word, you think about famous, authors and people who can write beautifully and really convey a message, and that really isn't most people.
No, not at all.
Gift, and we need to communicate effectively every day, and it's not even just with our business associates and prospective clients and customers, but also family, friends. It's way beyond just business.
Yes, and one of the other things, and I have been guilty of this too, is I noticed that you can put all the detail in an email or a text. People are so busy doing so many things, I guess scan it, and then there may be something in there that you've missed or misinterpreted. I've done that before, and read an email and thought I understood it all, and then realized that there was a piece of it I didn't get, or something that I didn't see in there that was there. So I'm asking the person the question, but what about this? And they said, well, it was in the email. And I think, oh no, I didn't read it properly.
Exactly.
So that's kind of a problem as well, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And it can be used, Connect by Voice is an app that really can be used almost in conjunction with some written text. It could be an explanation or highlight something that you really want someone to pay attention to. Mm-hmm. And it also makes it a lot easier to, with the let me go back for a minute. With the popularity of podcasts and things, you could listen to an email that comes in at any time. With that, you don't necessarily have to be in front of your computer. And so it can save time from that aspect. But another thing that it can do is really save time just dealing with emails.
Yes.
Personally, sometimes I wake up in the morning, dread looking at the computer, knowing that I have over 100 emails sitting there waiting for me, going, come on, open me. Mm-hmm. Something for you. And at times it just becomes overwhelming.
Yes.
I mean, do you ever feel, overwhelmed by the amount of emails and the amount of time that it take you to
all the time? Yeah, all the time. There's so many emails, and they build up. Even the ones you're never going to read. You don't need them. You don't want to read them, and just even the time it takes to go through those and delete them, decide on the ones you want to open, decide on the ones you want to respond to. Actually, as you're saying this, one of the things I like, in the car now, if a text message comes in, it will pop up on the screen, and if you want to, in quotes, read it, it will read it out to you.
Yes.
So I found that quite helpful, because then you can verbally give a response back. You can respond to it verbally if you want to, and it will send that text message. I have a problem with that because it doesn't always understand my accent.
Oh.
So that's a little bit of a problem for me sometimes. But I really like that idea that it can be read to you, and then you can respond.
Absolutely. And you mentioned how it would save time with you being able to respond. If you could respond to your emails with a voice and just recording, it can save you a tremendous amount of time, because we can speak easily 3, even sometimes 5 times faster than we could type, and figure out what we're going to say and do. So you can go through your emails at least twice as fast or 3 times as fast as you would otherwise. And that in itself is a huge time saver to allow you to do all the other things that you would prefer to be doing,
Right.
work related or not. It just puts away one additional task that needs to be done.
So it's not only helping people communicate more effectively, it's helping them save time while they do that too, then sort of time saver too. So how did you come to be doing this? What was the path that led you to this point?
Prior to launching this business, and we're going to be launching it next month, I had a business I started called Vaxis Hub. And Vaxis Hub was a video email service. So you could respond and send video emails to your clients and prospects and people. And that is a wonderful way to connect. It really takes the voice part one step further. But with that said, there were also difficulties with that. For example, people didn't need to be camera ready 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
True.
You can respond with a voice at any time. 5 a.m, you just woke up out of bed, you could do something. You have to get yourself ready. You didn't have to worry about the lighting in your room in the background and where are you going to record it, and having the additional equipment if you really needed some to do it.
Right.
So there was a bit of resistance to the concept. Some people really jumped into it, but at the end of the day, decided that it was really a huge uphill battle. And so I wanted to step back and say, what do people still really want and need? And that is to be able to communicate personally, because it's the personalization that really matters. It's the connecting between you and the recipient. And with the current popularity of podcasts, the popularity of social media sites like Clubhouse, which is all auditory for the most part, and people like to communicate that way. As a matter of fact, when we're first being born, the very first sense that we develop, even in the womb, is sound, being able to hear. And so it's just ingrained in our DNA to want to communicate that way.
Right.
And so that's also part of the reason.
Well, it's almost occurs to me, it's almost like having a phone call without having to have a phone call. It's like
Yes.
you can talk to someone, but you don't have to be on the phone. It's sort of like that. You can do it in your own time. You could be talking to someone and responding to someone while you're doing something else as well. So for multitaskers, it will be helpful.
Absolutely. Yeah. And with all the tasks that we have on our table these days, that anything we can do to save some time and still be effective
Yeah.
is a good thing to do.
Yeah. So, Gary, what's your background that got you into this, into communication, communicating either by video or audio in this way? What's your background?
Well, my background is totally unrelated. I got my degree in chemical and materials engineering. Back then, I worked in technical sales most all my career. And so when you're in sales and that, communication is huge. I had customers all over the planet. I had customers in Asia, Europe, South America, North America, and the one-on-one, them being able to see you and talk with you and have those conversations was huge. So
Yes.
there's always been a place for the communication, a way to improve it. But what really drove me into this area the most was my late wife. I was married for 30 years and she passed away from cancer about 10 years ago. In fact, be 10 years ago next month. She was a tremendous communicator. She was just unbelievable. She could communicate with anybody, age, gender. It didn't matter if you were, the president, CEO of a company, or if you were the janitor, somebody sweeping the floors. She just had that way about her. And the way that she really liked to communicate was to talk to people. She would spend a lot of time on the phone, especially at the end when she was ill. And I had the chance to see firsthand just how she communicated with people and how it made them feel. It really had to do with the feelings and the respect that people had when you treat them kindly and nice. And that had a big impact on me. And so after, in fact, another thing that kind of leads into this that really touched her heart more than anything else was when she would receive get well cards from people. But it was the ones that had a personal message in there, something that talked about a good time that they had shared in the past, and things like that, or pictures. And I wanted to, after she passed, I wanted to be able to bring that same type of feeling and emotions to business. Business communications. So the first thing that we actually started a couple months after that was a video greeting card. And that business was called Sing Your Card. And the concept was there. You can say your own message. We had custom music in the background and layouts. It was really, I thought, very cool. And but I went to a trade show and we talked about, we had this big booth and it had the big sign, had an elephant with his trunk holding a microphone. And it was just really cute. But I noticed that the majority of people were physically repelled by our booth. They would walk as far away around as they could, hoping I wouldn't see them.
Interesting.
Yeah, but there was a small percentage that just loved it and can come in. So my nephew and I were working on the business, and I said, we need to come up with a change of name. because I realized that people are probably more afraid of singing than they are
Yeah,
public speaking.
I would be.
Well, me too. Yeah, I can't sing though. I could clear out a room in no time. But, so we changed the name to Recorded Cards, and that was a lot better received, a lot done well. And one of the things at that time, we were competing against a lot of free cards, like Blue Mountain had free things. So being able to monetize it was a challenge. And at some point, we decided to say, okay, well, what do we really have? And what we had was a video email system. And I decided this time, okay, we're going to convert all this, switch it up to be a video email system, primarily for salespeople and business professionals. And so we revamped the whole thing and did that. And that's when I have Access Hub, and which is turned as mutated into Connect by Voice.
Well,
so it's been a long route.
Well, yes, but what I love is how you've taken your professional experience and also your personal experience and kind of put those together to create what you have, because you recognize the importance of communication, obviously through sales, through your sales ability, but also recognizing the emotional component and how your wife was so easily able to connect with people and what was meaningful to her. I've always admired people who can talk to anybody in that way, who just have that natural ability to communicate with people. I've always admired that. My late mother-in-law was exactly like that. It didn't matter who it was, she'd be talking to them within a minute. She'd be having this conversation. I would look at that and I would think, I don't know how you do that. But the idea of the connecting by voice does mean that you can put that emotion into it. I mean, people can tell more effectively what it is you're trying to convey, whereas it seems very cold in an email or certainly a text message. I think text messages are very often misunderstood.
Often, because you're trying to convey a whole concept in 10 words or less.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Well, it seems to me that there's probably room for both the video communication, but also and the email, the voice communication, because sometimes I think if you have a short message you want to get across, it's actually nice to see a person.
Yes, it is
to talk like we are, to be able to. This is nicer than just if we were just talking, on the phone or something like that, because we can see each other. So right. I think the video aspect, there's a lot to that. And I think it can be very helpful, but definitely that I see. Yeah, and you're right. The increase in podcasts, and there's a lot more audio going on. And I think a big part of it, like you said, is one, because you don't have to be camera ready. I think you can't be camera ready all the time, and it took me a long time to even get the confidence and courage to do video. So the idea of being on and being able to do a video all the time is difficult. But I think there are times when you would want to do that. But
absolutely. Because it does, people can see your facial expressions and and all that, your body language, and that's a large part of communication too. That's at least half of it.
Yeah.
But I wanted to give an option for people who weren't willing to do that.
Right.
And unfortunately, there is a percentage of people who don't. I personally like video, which is why I started the Access Hub and we started doing the video email things because of the power of video. And there still is. But there's also power in our voice.
Absolutely. And I think it's important. I really do think it's important to be able to hear someone's voice. I remember when I used to teach a lot of in-person workshops, and then I moved state, and I decided, this was years ago, I was going to do a lot more. I started doing teleseminars and things like that. And at first I was really apprehensive about it, because I thought, well, I need the reaction from the people, and it's going to be really hard to not see them. And actually, I found the opposite was true. There were no distractions, and that I could still get feedback from people, because they could talk to me. They could ask questions, I could respond, and I actually began to enjoy that almost even more. And it was just as effective, if not more effective, I think, than doing them in person. So I think there is definitely a lot of value to that.
Yes, I think that really this pandemic and all that has really, as I said, opened the box to how we can communicate and what we can do. And the power of Zoom and calls like this, it makes it possible for us to share and have a conversation and not have to be in the same room.
Yes.
It could be on the other, excuse me, the other side of the planet.
Right.
And it can still occur. And
yeah, that's the beauty of it. Yeah, there's a lot of power in that. It's the beauty of it, because I've certainly found that I've been able to connect with people much more globally than I ever could before. In-person events are obviously limited, and if you have one, people have to travel to you, and so there are limitations to that. But with more and more of video and audio, there are no limits. We've kind of knocked over those boundaries. Where do you see this going, Gary? What was your vision for Connect by Voice?
I believe Connect by Voice is just a start. I think there's a place for that for quite a number of people. There are specific applications where salespeople would really like to use it, even to explain forms or things that they send to people, or contracts within an email, just to give it highlights. But we're looking to, down the future, add a video component, like we have talked. However, it would be much simpler and easier to use than my first go around with Vaxis Hub. Because one of the things that I've really found to be true is whatever offerings that we make to people, it has to be easy to use. And it has to be simple. You can have very few steps. You just have to make it easy for them, because when it's easy for them, then they'll use it and take advantage of that technology. If it isn't, if it's cumbersome, if there's too many steps, if it's confusing, nobody's going to do it, even if it could benefit them, just because it's not easy. And how busy we all are all the time. You have to be able to learn something new very quickly and start to implement it.
Yes, absolutely. The idea of having a steep learning curve to, this is great software or whatever it is, this is a great app, but I've got to learn how to use it, and then you're less likely to do so. You're right, it does have to be simple.
It has to be simple. So anything that we end up variants or things creating down the road, that is the bare minimum requirement, is that it has to be simple and easy to use, and of course to solve a need for people.
Absolutely.
And so looking at that, I'm also looking to expand. For example, I'm giving a keynote speech to a group of Toastmaster leaders next month. And the topic of that is creating a unique selling proposition. So all the clubs for Toastmasters and as a group, they need to find their own voice.
Yes.
they need to come up with a message that resonates with the type of people that they're trying to attract to their club. Every club has different nuances, and they try to be something special or offer something different that other clubs aren't offering, whether it's the time of day, the type of people and leaders that they want to have be part of the group. Uh, but the key part with the USP and teaching them to do that, it's the first part of communication because it's the message.
Yes.
And they have to get their message right for their target audience.
Absolutely.
So once we have them and finish work at training with them on that, then the next step is, okay, now that you have that message, what is the best way of really communicating that to your guests, to prospective members, and even to your members? And ways of, basically using sales techniques on how to go ahead and get that message across and convince people to join. So that's going to be the second part of training I'm going to be doing with them.
That's great.
But it's exciting. But it's all, as you said, communication related, and everything really ties into that.
I think anything that helps us communicate more effectively and be understood. That's what we all want, really, is to be heard, to be understood. And, sometimes we just need to learn how to do that more effectively.
It's very funny that you mentioned that because one of our taglines for the business is be heard, be understood.
There you go. That's perfect. That's perfect. Well, thank you, Gary. I love what you're doing. If people, you said the app will be released next month, so January. So yes. If people want to find out more, how can they do that?
Well, they can send me an email, and I'd be happy to send them information. So they can reach me at gary@connectbyvoice.com.
Okay.
And our website is going to be up and running here shortly. And that website is connectbyvoice.com.
Okay, perfect. Well, I wish you all the luck in the world with the release of your app. I think it's a really much needed service that you're offering here. And I hope it does incredibly well. I really wish you all the best with it.
Well, thank you very much, Linda. And thank you for having me on your show. It's been a lot of fun and being able to meet and talk to you in a lot more detail.
Yeah, well, I've enjoyed learning all about this and all about your how you got there, how the story unfolded. So thanks again, Gary, and I wish you all the best with it. So thanks.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.